Hello, losers, cool beans, and other lovable weirdos. Hi, this is not part 1. Please go check out part 1 of Mycorrhiza's Right Door. It's a ride. It is. I know how it ends. You gotta watch to see how it ends, but if you like some uncomfortable, horrific images and mysteriously being stuck places, stick around. Okay, let's see how room 2's doing. The first thing I did after entering the room was take a quick glance around to see if Frederick was nearby. To my detriment, he was. He jumped up as he saw me come in. Hey, did you bring anything useful with you? He didn't even offer so much as a greeting. Arguably the hay counts, but yeah. I do have food on me. Maybe I could trade it for the weapon. Should I trade the food for Frederick? Yes. I decided to give the food to Frederick. It was probably a good idea to have a weapon with me in case I run into something out there. I have some food with me. I can give it to you and you can share it with the others. Frederick took a quick look around, as if to make sure that no one was watching. Then he took a gun from his pocket. Here, take it quickly. Don't tell anyone you gave me this, okay? I was definitely not okay with keeping the food a secret and was about to protest, but he had already taken the food and shoved me out of the door into the hallway. He threw the gun at my feet and slammed the door shut. What a jerk, I thought. Well, at least I had the gun now. I'd never really used one before, but I've seen my fair share of crime movies, so I was certain that it would work out somehow. Yeah, because movies are definitely accurate. How hard could shooting a gun be, right? I imagine the recoil will probably answer that. Listen, Scott, whilst I would totally be you in this scenario and also be like, I don't know what I'm doing with the gun, I'd know enough to know, you know what, no, the movies definitely make it look easier. I checked the magazine to see how many bullets were in it. It was empty, of course. Of course it was empty. That's why he had handed it over so easily. Otherwise, he could have threatened me with it instead of trading it in. How could I have been fooled this easily? Frustrated, I put it away and turned towards the other doors. No, I want it. Frederick, we're having words. I heard a big ruckus coming from beyond the door as I opened it. This startled me and I almost slammed the door back shut. How did I not hear this commotion out in the hallway? People were screaming, punching, kicking, and pulling each other's hair. Others were smashing other people's heads against walls. Everyone was doing their best to kill and not be killed. It was a horrible scene. As I stood there, dumbfounded, I quickly realized what this was all about. The food, I suspect. People were fighting over food. Instead of sharing it, they decided to fight each other for it. Soon I couldn't differentiate dead from alive. As everyone was covered in blood, I watched in horror. Suddenly, a brawling pair came dangerously close to me. I tried to dodge, but my back hit the door frame, and I was pushed out of the room as they slammed against me. I didn't think they even saw me, as they were too immersed in their fight. It seemed like the food shortage had driven them to insanity. The door slammed shut, and I was left alone out in the once again quiet hallway. Hesitantly, I debated whether or not I should go back into the room and try to break up the fight. Okay, I knew things were never going to go great in that room because of Frederick's food secrecy. That's never going to end well. But why is it always, oh, we're going to fight for the food instead of, hey, let's survive together? Ugh, okay, I want there to be another way. Please let there be another way. I don't wanna, the poor dog. As I entered the room, the dog instantly started barking and tugging on its chain. The hole in the wall behind it still seemed to be the only way out of this part of the ship. Once again, I went through my options to see what I could do to get past it. I had a gun, and there were bullets next to the dog. Attack the dog? No! Are there other options? This might be a bad idea. I didn't feel too enthusiastic about the prospect of killing an animal. Also, I've never handled a gun before. Maybe I could find another way to get past it. In the end, I still couldn't think of any way to get around it, and so I had no other choice but to simply retreat once again. Is there anything else in room 2? I felt uneasy about entering this room, but I had to find out what had happened to everyone in here. With a foul feeling in my stomach, I stepped over the threshold. What I saw was way worse than anything I could have imagined. The stench was overwhelming. 40 lifeless, blood-covered bodies were lying on the floor. Somehow they had already started decomposing, even though I hadn't been gone for that long. The smell was enough to make me want to vomit, and I knew that if I stayed here any longer, I would. But I had to see if there were any survivors. I slowly made my way to the middle of the room to get a better look at the situation. But then the worst happened. I stepped on something soft and wet. My foot sunk in and my sock was soaked. My body froze. Slowly my eyes wandered to the ground. My foot was stuck in the torso of one of the dead bodies. Well, almost in a panic, I turned around and stumbled out of the door. When I got back out into the hallway, I gasped for air and did my best to suppress my gagging and tears. Took me a while to get myself back together. I couldn't believe what I had seen in that room. It all felt like a nightmare. But I knew that I had to move on. There's a hangry achievement. What? Okay, let's check on the kids. Quickly made my way towards the middle of the room to find out whether the boy's condition had improved. Medicine couldn't actually have cured him this quickly, but his fever might have at least gone down a bit. And indeed, he didn't seem to have gotten much worse, but there were still weird black ulcers on his skin. They oddly reminded me of mushrooms. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Amy, on the other hand, didn't seem to be doing well. At all. She was sitting next to him, staring into space. It was as if she hadn't even noticed me coming in. Hey, Amy, are you all right? Her head barely moved in my direction. Scott? It was almost as if she didn't really recognize me. I grew concerned. Yeah, it's me, Scott. Are you all right? She didn't reply. Maybe she was just tired. I couldn't blame her. This whole situation was pretty exhausting, especially for someone as young as her. Where have you been? Her voice was almost inaudible. I was searching for a way out of here. Don't worry, I'm sure I'll find one soon. She continued to stare at the floor with a blank expression. I just need some more time. I'll have you and your brother out of here soon. She turned away. It didn't seem like she was up for a conversation. It was probably in her interest that I left and continued searching for an exit. I left her be. I walked by the canned food and considered taking some with... No. Decided against taking any. I do feel like maybe the dog might get distracted by food. I don't know if that's our only other option. Is there anything else to do with room 1? Frozen. I had seen some movement out of the corner of my eye. Oh no. When I turned my head, all I could see was a blank wall. As I stepped further in, I noticed a scratching sound. It was as if something was clawing at the wall. In any other situation, I'd be like, rats? But now I'm like, I don't know, mushroom rats maybe? But I couldn't make out anything that could have been causing it. There was barely any movement at all. Everyone seemed to still be frozen in place. I stood in the door frame and strained my ears. It was getting louder. I considered leaving, but curiosity overcame me. Slowly, I stepped into the room. It was then that I saw someone who seemed to still be awake. Their slight twitching was barely noticeable in the dim light. I considered calling out to them, but something told me not to, and so I cautiously inched towards them. But the closer I got, the more apparent it became that something was off. I froze. Their head. Ooh? You seem to be missing a bit of skin there, buddy. Like, just a bit. It almost looked as if their face was melting off their bones. Their eyes were dark and hollow. I took a few hasty steps back, but they fortunately didn't seem to react to my presence at all. The scratching seemed to have gotten even louder. I noticed something lying on the floor, not too far away from the person I had just checked on. I hesitated, but my fearful glances were answered with complete silence and lack of any movement. I was still safe, probably. I shifted towards the thing on the ground and slowly picked it up. It was a sheet of paper that looked like it was ripped from a diary or a log. Ooh. If I was the leader of this operation, I'd fire anyone who let ethics get in the way. Uh-oh. Sacrifices always need to be made to ensure humanity's future. I guess it doesn't really matter. I'll just continue my research in private, since it's not like there aren't enough subjects inside the zone. Oh, I couldn't make heads or tails of this note. I was missing too much context. The scratching got even louder. Something was definitely not right here. I should probably get out of here. I let my eyes wander over the room one last time and made my way back outside. Kids. Thought about checking on them once again, but as I was about to open the door, I realized, what good would that do? I still hadn't found an exit. I should use my time more efficiently. Alright! Room 2 again? The door was sealed shut. There was nothing left for me to do in there anyway. They were all dead. Grabbed the door handle, then I remembered what I had experienced last time I was in this room. Was it really a good idea to go back in? Though technically my life hasn't been in any danger. Maybe I should check the room again, just in case. I'd just stay in the doorframe. It wasn't like anything besides me could leave this room anyway. Oh wow, it's actually changed. The door slowly creaked open, and I glanced inside the room. The people that were there were gone. The room was completely empty. In their place was a black substance. Was that blood? Then the scratching started. It seemed to be coming from every direction at once. As I tried to make out its source, I noticed something at the very far end of the room. There were ripples on the wall. It almost looked like the wall was made out of water. Slowly, something started to push itself through the thick, liquid-like texture. First, it was a single hand. Then more and more arms started to appear. All of them grasped at empty air. All the while, the scratching was getting louder and louder. I tried to shield my ears with my hands. My instincts told me to run, but I was frozen in place. I couldn't avert my eyes from the scene before me. Slowly, feet started to reach through the wall, and then finally their whole body was free. The scratching had stopped. Okay, so the wall has birthed some nice fungi, melty zombies? I recognized the clothes of some of the creatures in front of me. These were the people who had been trapped in this room. But their heads, they weren't human anymore. Their faces were distorted beyond recognition. As I stared at them in disbelief, I noticed that none of them were moving. They were just staring at me. Then one of them slowly lifted their arm, grasping at the air, and started to slowly walk towards me. It almost looked as if it was pleading. Then the others followed suit. I started to feel a mixture of terror and pity. But as they got closer and closer, my terror grew stronger and stronger. What would they do once they reached me? They definitely weren't human anymore. Were they about to attack me? Or do they only not look human anymore, but they're still like, hey, there's the guy that's going to help us. Please help us. My head began to spin, and I took a few hasty steps back, almost tripping on my way out of the room. There was nothing I could do for them. I was too late. If only I could have found a way out before they turned into that. Frustrated and with a heavy heart, I slammed the door shut. Achievement beyond the wall, scratching, okay, Okay. I get the sequence of, oh, if you only made that one decision sooner, maybe you could have helped these people vibes. But come on, no, I don't want to do this. Just like the last time, the dog started barking. But one thing was different. Its barking seemed weaker than before. I slowly approached the part of the room where it was chained, but all I saw was a miserable creature. It was weakly lying on the ground, only able to bark and growl at me. I had no idea what had caused it to become like this, considering that I hadn't been gone for that long. Scott, clearly time is not working how you think it is. This might be my chance, I thought to myself. But as I approached the hole, the dog managed to snatch at me and almost bit me. Apparently it was still capable of hurting me in this state. I had a gun, and there were bullets next to the dog. Do I have to? Okay, you're going over the... Maybe you can find another... Thought about running past it and forcing my way into the hole in the wall. But decided against it. There had to be a safer way. Ugh! An unexplainable feeling overcame me. A feeling that there was a point of no return. Should I really enter this door? I have no other choices, so yes. I entered the room. I instantly felt that something was off. There was no barking. As soon as my eyes got accustomed to the darkness, I saw why. The dog was dead. It was lying on the ground in front of the hole in the wall, motionless. Its tongue was hanging out of its mouth. As I stepped closer to confirm that it was truly dead, I picked up a faint, foul stench. I cautiously poked it, but there was no reaction. It was definitely dead. Somehow it had died without any apparent reason. I felt bad for it, but now I could finally walk past it without being afraid of getting bitten. Slowly, while trying not to step on it, I approached the hole. I stared into the hole. The hole stared back. Before I let the others know, I had to make sure that whatever was on the other side was safe. The hole was rather small, and I had trouble fitting through, but I succeeded eventually. After a while, I noticed that something was off. The hole seemed to go on for longer than it should. I expected to have already come out in another part of the ship, but it just went on and on. Then a sudden wave of fatigue came over me. It was as if I had stepped into a veil. The air had gotten heavier, and my breathing became more ragged. I clutched my chest as I tried to figure out what was going on. A throbbing pain pulsed through my arm. It was as if something had stabbed me. I tried to turn around, but I had already become too weak. My feet gave in, and my vision darkened. I could feel a presence near me. Before I could find out who it was, my consciousness faded. Okay, so that is the first little tale behind the door in Mycorrhiza. That was really good. I feel bad about all of my choices. I feel like I need to go hug a puppy and maybe play The Sims or something just to shift the spores of mild discomfort from that, but I like this. I look forward to the next door. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this, feel free to check out my channel. I have a variety of horror content, shorter and long games, the occasional rebuilding a spooky game or show location in The Sims 4, and until next time, I hope you're having a better day than everybody on this cursed mushroom reality cruise ship. Especially the dog. The dog deserves better. You know what how could you, game devs? How could you?